Hello and welcome to Motors for the Masses. Now, some of you might know, might not know, might not even care, but I have a few bikes. Now, I know my fleet changes, but at the moment I've got 8. And these are 8 bikes that I've settled on, that I'm happy with. So before we go any further today, I'm going to show you a little showcase of what my current fleet is. Here it is. Now, some of you may have noticed that was 7. Well, today we are looking at number 8. Now, I always thought to myself I would never buy an adventure bike. It's just not my thing. Not really a sports bike person. I like sports tourers, I like scramblers, I like the older retro style, and I certainly like things that are different. Well, today I've got something that I bought recently that isn't different and is quite mainstream. But it's something I've always said to myself, if I want to do more riding abroad or on a weekend away, that's the bike I would want to do it on. So that's what I bought. So without any further ado, let's roll the intro and get cracking. And here it is. It is a 2013 Triumph Tiger Explorer 1200. What do you think? I love it. So let's delve into more about the bike, and then we're going to take it out on a ride and see what it's like on the road in the real world. The good bits and the bad bits. Now, Triumph have been building the Tiger as an adventure bike since 1993. Previous versions were commuter bikes or street sports bikes or even trail bikes. This one in particular is the 2012 to 2015 model, commonly known as the Dual Sport Adventure. It was available as a standard version like this, or the XC or the XR model. Later they had the XRX, the XCX, the XRT, the XCA, the Alpine, the Desert version as they have now. There's far too many versions. But today we're just going to concentrate on this particular bike, otherwise we could get bogged down for hours with the slight tiny little differences between all the models. And that is not what this video is all about. So what do we have? Well, here we have the double overhead cam, 12 valve, 1215cc 3-cylinder fuel injection engine, which develops 135 brake horsepower and 89 pounds-foot of torque. It is of course liquid cooled and has a 6-speed gearbox with a top speed of around 130 miles an hour. Like a lot of Triumphs, it is shaft drive, so less maintenance on chain and sprockets because there isn't any. It comes with a traditional Triumph trellis frame, and up front you've got KYB shocks as well as the KYB monoshock in the middle. See that blue thing in there? There it is, in there, look. Exciting, isn't it? And of course that is adjustable. Up front you get twin 305mm discs with Nissan 4-piston calipers and a 280mm rear disc with a 2-piston caliper. And there is switchable ABS for those brave enough to take it off-road. It is not a light bike at 259 kilos wet with all its fluids in, but it does have a 20-litre fuel tank which should last around 145 miles. They're stating around about 45 miles to the gallon. My one, however, currently, bearing in mind I'm going to and from home, not really much of long riding, just short journeys, is sitting at 35.6. Standard luggage gives you 60 litres in the panniers and a 35 litre top box. However, I've got my Givey box on here, so I've got 60 litres in there and 46 litres on here, so that's 106 litres in total. What I like most about these is the security on them. Now, you need the key to be able to unlock it, then you've got to unlock it through here and take the brackets off and unlock here that you can open them and then secure lock them and they bolt in there. I really do like them. This is a bit, but you just have to adjust the bits under here, which I need to do on this to make them push out slightly more. That's it. It's a little bit fiddly, but it's not that bad once you know how to do it. So you've just got your adjustable nut inside there. Personally, I'm not a fan of the chromy multi-spoke wheels, so this does it for me quite nicely. I like the look of these wheels, I like the way these spokes are laid out. Very nice indeed. It comes with a 110 by 19 on the front and a 150 by 17 on the back. Now, on initial looking at the bike from the back, you may have seen it in the previous shot, I thought the 150 was a little bit narrow, and on the newer bikes they put a 170, and I quite like a chunky tyre, but I can see why they've done it, because if you're on the rough stuff that's a bit soft and a bit dirty, you probably want something a bit thinner to slice through it a little bit easier. I don't think a 170 would work with the geometry on this bike, so I'm just going to leave it as it is. And of course, if you do take it off-road, 260 kilos is a lot to go down, so anything that keeps it upright is good in my eyes. You may know from my previous videos that I did have to lay this down once. Luckily, I say luckily, it wasn't at speed. It was outside my garage, and in my defence, I was wearing sports boots with no soles on them. They were smooth, so I probably needed new boots anyway. The Alpine Stars, a bit disappointed actually. But yes, it was wet, and I've got sort of gravelly tarmac outside my garage on a slight incline. And as I put my right foot down, it slipped out. And I tried to get grip and it slipped out again, and by that point the bike was starting to go. I got it to 45 degrees and I was holding it, and I couldn't get it back up. And I just had to lay it down. All it did is put a couple of scrapes on here, as you can see there. One tiny scrape on the back of this, or the corner of this box, but it did break off this lever. That moved up like so, and as you can see there, look, snapped the end of my brake lever off. Yes, I have got a new one coming, but isn't that annoying? But yeah, luckily, like I say, wasn't doing any great speed, and perhaps I need to tighten that up a bit more. Let's move on. It is a bit of a monster at 2.2 meters long, 960 millimeters wide, and 1.5 meters tall. 837 to 860 millimeters on the seat height, and there's two ways of getting on this bike. Now, this one has the center stand on it, come on to that in a minute, and you can get on like so very easily, plenty of opportunity to get on without it falling over. I wouldn't want to try and rock it off the center stand. You shouldn't do that anyway, because it's not good for the stand. So yeah, that's easy enough to get on like so. Or getting it off the center stand like so and putting it on the side stand. I have to get on this bike like this and then slide on and on, because that's the only way I can get on. Malcolm can't do it because it messes up his hips. Oh. But for me, not a problem. I mean, I could get on like that. It's not a major drama. Now, I am 5'10.5" with a 31.5 inch inside leg. And for me, it's still feet flat on the floor. So it doesn't feel that large when you're on it. I mean, it feels large, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't feel too large. And I really like the way this feels. But we'll come on to that when I'm on the road. I'm not being biased, really not. It's an honest review about how I feel about this bike, honestly. Now, when new, prices started from £11,500. Now, these typically range from £4,500 for a high mileage well used model to about 8,500 for the later 2015 under 10,000 mile model. This one has done 17,000 miles on a 2013 plate, and I paid under 5.5 grand for it. Now that is a very good price and certainly below average. I think I got lucky, to be honest, especially considering it's got full service history as well, and that is important. Now onto the service intervals. The first service is 10,000 miles, and then it's every 10,000 miles, every 20,000 miles if you want the valves checked. Okay, it's not cheap, but I'm luckily in a position where someone can do that for me for nothing. Jamie and I fitted these Rentec bars. Now they cost £150, and the reason why I like these is that they protect the front here. You've got the bar that goes through here behind the downpipes as well, and they stick out quite nicely, so if it falls over, that is going to hit the floor, and none of these plastics. With that on there, this should be left alone quite nicely. It goes round the main casing of the engine, and okay, they're not easy to fit, believe you me. It's not, you know, rocket science, but it's a bit fiddly and it takes more than 5 minutes. What I didn't like is that Rentec, which is a decent company, have provided these horrible chintzy fake chromy bolts, and you have to take out the Triumph torque bolts to replace them with these, and I didn't like that at all. So I may be doing something about that myself. I don't know whether I'll go for the top bars, although I do think I want the spotlights on here. I don't know, I'm undecided. That's not a major problem at the moment. What this also came with when I bought it was this centre stand. Now that is optional. Yes, optional centre stand. I mean, come on, Triumph. Lovely Triumph torque bolt. Horrible chintzy Rentec provided bolt. Blech. Blech. Ah. Yes, okay, I do have much faster and much lighter and even much heavier bikes and much prettier bikes, but none of them offer what this does, and that is the main appeal about it. If I'm going on a journey, bearing in mind I've been planning, unfortunately COVID said no, to go to Normandy and beyond, and at least go somewhere where I can take my wife on the back, because I may have 7 bikes, but they're all single-seater. Okay, you can put a seat on the back, but that doesn't matter because they're all single-seater at the moment. So she can't come on there with me. And this one she can, in comfort, with heated seats, heated grips, and cruise control, as well as traction control, and on here, a USB. Okay, a lot of bikes have those, but yeah, well, nice to have. So then let's start it up and have a quick listen, and then we'll take it out on the road and see what it really sounds like in the real world. Bearing in mind this is the quietest bike I own, but I shall be talking about it whilst riding, going through the features, what I like about it, what I don't like about it. Are you ready? Isn't that quiet? I love that triple sound. It's really raspy, really nice. It's obviously been standing still for a while and I shouldn't have revved it just yet. I do apologise, I haven't let it warm up yet. Sorry. Well, there you go. I really do like that, bearing in mind it is a adventure bike, standard exhaust. It sounds beautiful, really raspy. Very nice indeed. Going to be doing a bit of boring urban riding, then out onto the dual carriageway and the normal roads, shall we say. I say normal roads for what they are around here. Now I'm going to start off by just telling you why I bought this. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't look for, no, let me rephrase that. I originally wanted a 1200 Explorer. Somebody told me to take out their BMW GS 1200. I did, because that was an option, despite the fact they're a bit ugly. And when I rode it, it was powerful, it was comfortable, it had lots of features, I quite liked it. Apart from, every time you pull away, because of the engine, you know, the style of engine it is, the boxer engine, it just whips to the side every time you pull away, and it didn't put me off, and it wasn't, oh my god, it's dangerous, but I just didn't like it. But when you pull away, it just goes, whoa, whoa. Not for me. So somebody else told me to go out on their Tiger 800, so I did, and that was actually the bike I was then wanting to get, because it was like this, not quite as heavy, a little bit lower, and I thought, for what I need, for what I want to do, 800 is perfect. I don't need a bigger engine. The only reason I got this is because I was searching for Tigers. I was searching for Tiger 800 and I saw one for about 9 grand, and it was at a dealer I know, so I rang him up, said can we have a deal, but it was still a little bit more than I wanted to pay. So I looked further down and this was sitting there, 17,000 miles, full service history, came with a panniers, came with a centre stand, price was right, and we had a good deal, and so I got it. So I never intended to get a 1200 because I thought it's a bit too much, a bit too heavy, but no, I actually do like it. Now, I had sat on a 1200 before. Someone had bought one in for some tyre changes and I'd sat on it, and he told me to take it up the road, but I don't know, it just felt a bit too heavy, and it was a customer's bike and I didn't feel confident enough to take someone else's bike up the road that I'd never ridden before that was 260 kilos. In hindsight, it doesn't really make a lot of difference because turns out it's fine. But obviously I didn't want to take that risk with someone else's bike. So here we are on the 1200 Tiger Explorer. Not XT or XR or XC or XCX or XRX version or whatever else they do. So what am I thinking of it? Well, apparently walking through town, I might as well be, at miles per hour, I'm doing 48 mpg. MPG has never really bothered me. I've always owned thirsty, powerful cars, and apart from 125s, big engine bikes. So I've never really bothered about MPG anyway. But the main thing is, it is unbelievably comfortable. That's my favourite word when it comes to bikes. That has to be the factor. Now, I love my Firestorm, but oh my god, does that hurt my palms. My Triumph is just a pleasure all round. I love it. My Speed Triple, absolutely love it. It's beautiful to ride, it feels nice, it's comfortable, it's fast. Okay, there's faster bikes, I get that, but it's still, for what I want, is brilliant. But this is just so easy to ride. Despite that initial awkwardness of turning it round, and even that, it's not overly difficult, you really get used to it quickly. Other than that, it is really, really comfortable. I love the way this feels. It's just so easy. And when I'm doing 25 miles an hour, this is really boring, isn't it? I'm sorry about this. Behind a Screwfix truck. Well, how weird is that? The Screwfix truck magically disappeared. Weird. Anyway, so yes, at 30 miles an hour in third gear, doing 2,500 RPM. Put it in the fourth quite easily, does 2,000 RPM. Not that I need to do that, but it's just really easy. It's quiet with a nice rasp if you open it up when you get onto the open roads. I do find, and I don't know if it's normal because, as I say, I've never had this bike before, the gear lever is very positive but also sounds clunky. So clunk, it's in. Clonk, you certainly know it's in gear. Perhaps someone can tell me if they've owned one, or if they do own one, whether theirs does that and whether it's normal. It's just so well balanced. Triumph know what they're doing. Lovely bike. Mirrors I can see, I don't have arms in the way, I can see everything that's going on. Leans over quite nicely. I don't feel frightened of it. I don't feel as though it's too heavy, too powerful. Feels lovely. Gear change is smooth. I do notice now I've got these Rentec bars on that I can feel it on my ankle or on my shin, but it's not intrusive, it's not pressing against it, I can just know it's there. Kind of makes me wonder that if I did come off it, whether that would snap my leg in half. Interesting. Having said that, a 260 kilo bike would probably snap your leg in half anyway. So let's give this a go down the dual carriageway and see whether it makes a lot of difference. Will I love it more or will I hate it? Let's find out. Bit of a breeze picking up, but this front screen seems to do rather well. Pushes it over my head quite nicely. Up to 70 miles an hour there with absolutely no dramas whatsoever. Even at 70 miles an hour there was absolutely no throwing me around. I was not being buffeted in any way. I felt completely and utterly secure. That is beautiful. I have made a very good choice, I believe. And that's not saying I'm brilliant, it's saying I'm so pleased having made this decision. Wow, wow, and just slightly more wow. Quite a bumpy road, but it's taking it all in its stride. Suspension is very forgiving, but it's not bouncy. It's very nice indeed. So I'm in 6th gear with 60 miles an hour, 3,100 RPM. And apparently I'm doing 41 miles to gallon. Very nice indeed. I like this.